Good afternoon. This is Jim Koontz, and president of Aero Incorporated. Special guest of mine today is Dave McGee. I've known Dave for 15 years as a framing contractor. He's the co-owner of Pro Carpentry, and now the owner of Gordon Components of Michigan, a truss and wall manufacturer. What a fascinating journey. It's nice to have you today, Dave. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the framing and ultimately into building components.
Well, thank you, Jim. I'm excited to be here. So I started, over 20 years ago in the framing industry. I worked with a very well-known rough framing contractor in the area, and went through the apprenticeship school and really got to perfect what I did when I went out on my own. I started working for myself, and I really saw a need when I did that to try to streamline things and find out ways to take some of the human element out of the framing, some of the mistakes that were very easily made. We always, even for the contractor that I worked for before, we always built our own wall panels on site, kind of the old school method. A lot of carpenters are familiar with that. We would lay things out on a blueprint, make lines, number it. We would make pieces of 1x4 for templates. In 2008, when the economy went down, a lot of everybody's familiar with that. Most of our good wall panel manufacturers in the area had, went by the wayside. At that point, we kind of made the decision to branch off and do wall panels and frame. So we would build our own wall panels and frame for ourselves together for one another. When we started doing that, we started to get some recognition from some of the lumber yards in the area. Very good friend of mine in the lumber industry, Aaron Leonard, went to work for a company called Gordon Lumber out of Ohio. Shortly after he went there, he reached out to me, and we collaborated together, and we started doing their wall paneling manufacturing for Gordon Lumber, which is a lumber company. One thing led to another. I bought into the company. Out of necessity, we realized there was also a need to couple the roof trusses with the wall panels. So we purchased a truss company out of Indiana. We brought their equipment here to our plant. And what we really try to focus on at Gordon Components is what the carpenters need on the job site, what makes their life easier. So that's really our main focus. That's what we try to do. We've brought in a lot of very good carpenters out of the industry that has worked in the field, and those guys work with us and help us to improve our quality.
It's really fascinating story, and I'm very impressed. And I'm not going to say I'm not surprised, but I've known you as a very ambitious man. Now, I've been through your plant, and it is a sight to behold. It is vast. It's chaotic, yet there's a process there. Tell me a little bit about the manufacturing process, and maybe a little bit about technology as well that you've introduced to it.
Well, thank you, Jim. So the best way that I could illustrate it is like this. As fast as the technology moves on your cell phone, things change. That's about how fast the technology changes in the components industry. Things that we do today, we could have never dreamt of doing 5 years ago.
It's remarkable. You just gave me goosebumps. I mean, I've been through there, and you have these laser guided saws and so much sophistication. And some of the stuff I understand you've designed. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, again, out of necessity, when we come up to a problem and we look at it as, okay, how do we solve this problem? So when there is a task that needs to be done, we typically don't throw our hands in the air. And we just try to figure out a solution, how to fix that, how to make something to make that work easier for us. And like you, Jim, I'm very blessed. I've got my father works there with me. My two sons work there with me, and my wife works there with me. So between us, between the four of us, we come up with solutions to problems.
And I've met all of those, and I've been fortunate enough to be introduced to all of them, and there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of intellectual horsepower there when you're in a group with those. You're very focused, very results oriented, and I couldn't be more favorably impressed. Now, what do you see as the future? If things are happening in your business like they are on a cell phone, how in the world do you make hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment with the confidence that it's not going to be irrelevant 6 months from now?
Well, really, if you look at the industry as a whole, and you know it just as well as I do, being in this industry, a lot of your guys that have been around for a long time, a lot of your very good carpenters, very experienced carpenters are now retiring and leaving the industry faster than what we have people coming in. So there's a need for what we do more so now than ever before. So our focus now is really looking at how it is that we can improve our processes, put out the best quality product that we can for our customer, which is really ultimately the carpenter. It's not really the lumberyard, although the builder or developer buys our product through the lumberyard. It's really the carpenter is our main focus. That's who we want to focus on and give the best quality product to. So we're looking at different avenues of how do we produce more product that is needed on a job site, such as stairs, such as floor sections, such as prefab roof sections. So we're really looking into ways and solutions to streamline that for the carpenter in the field also.
It's incredible. I've been on sites. Of course, we're in the supply side industry with machinery, telehandlers, SkyTrack specifically. So we have them rented to a lot of your clients, and you have some rented from us occasionally. The business relationship has been healthy between Gordon and Aero because we trade services or invoice each other for them. It's a very healthy relationship. But when they hit the site, I'm always favorably impressed at how your trucks are loaded and that you have trucks. I mean, the manufacturing of these components is just the beginning. Logistically, setting them on the truck in the proper order to have them taken off, and the trucks themselves has got to be an art and science into itself. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Jim. Well, 50% of the process is just manufacturing the stuff. The other 50% is getting it there. Again, we've become known as the component manufacturer in this industry that finds solutions to problems. So when you get into those really tight sites, we specialize in that stuff. That's where we really shine. Those multiple story buildings on podiums in downtown Detroit on a one-way street, that's where we really shine. We when we do those, you can really see the experience of our team, because we do things that in this industry that nobody else does.
Well, for instance, if you're offloading in one of those one-way streets in downtown Detroit, a congested area, and it might be being offloaded by a crane, for instance, it's got to be picked up and set somewhere. And that's got to be set in a logical fashion so that when it's retrieved, it can be put into place without having to move 2 or 3 other places. So you have to almost reverse load it so that it comes off in the fashion. Off might be the first one picked. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's really putting it in the order that the carpenter needs it to. And that's where it comes back to really having that relationship with the carpenter. It's really crucial to know where are you starting this building from? What corner, so that the first panel they need is the first panel that's on top. And it goes right down the road. So it's not just with the wall panels, but then it follows up with the floor trusses. Because if they're starting from one particular corner, we want the floor trusses to come in that order also. And then it starts with the roof trusses, because typically they just start the building from one side and they work in one direction. So that's really where it's having that relationship. Our designers, our field coordinators, those guys are our eyes and ears on the site, and they make sure that we're doing it the way the carpenter wants it done. And then also, when we have those tough jobs where there is a crane, it's not just getting it there, but we have to calculate all of the weights for everything, for the load, for the crane operators. So we have to give them sheets with accurate numbers so that when they're lifting those loads off the trucks, they're doing it in a safe manner. I mean, we've had jobs that they lift our wall panels up and over the people mover in Detroit and set it on the podium. When we do that, you can't have a wall panel bunk fall apart over top of the people mover.
No kidding. What a tremendous advantage it was or is for you to be an experienced builder so that you can talk the talk with the framing contractors and the contractors on the site. And you indicated that you're also hiring experts out of the industry to work for you as well as your coordinators. Now that's got to be a terrific advantage.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, we're really looked to as the expert when it comes to this process. So a lot of really good people in the industry have approached us about coming to work for us. And like I said, we're really blessed to have a great team that really cares about what we do, and we really want to see what we do grow.
Yeah, I've been around for 45 years myself, and I've known a half a dozen framing contractors who had the idea that you did to start building components in a warehouse somewhere, but nobody ever came close to doing this, and they've all abandoned their efforts, and you've just taken this to a whole new level. Where do you see the industry going? What else is rattling around in that brain of yours to how you're going to expand your business?
Well, as I hinted to before, you kind of see for a while, there's been a mass exodus of good quality carpenters. So it's really honing what we do right now. And like I said, we're looking at different processes that we can put in place to take some of the stuff that the carpenters in the field, they don't really want to do. And that's, for me, really what pushed me into this. When I was 20 and I started doing this, hey, that was great. I didn't mind bending over all day, pounding nails. And then nail guns came along, and it was, wow, this is great. It's much easier. And then, at a certain point, I said, I really don't want to bend over anymore. So really, that's what we've done is we look at what is the difficult things to do on a job site that we can incorporate into what we do, and giving that to the carpenter so that it makes his life easier.
Yeah, that's amazing. It is amazing because I can attest that, yes, there's every framing contractor we talk to, and I'm not in the field sales anymore, but I'm well aware that every framing contractor is hurting on manpower and would do anything, bring in crews from other states, from Mexico. Do you offer your instructions, your assembly instructions, and are they bilingual?
Yes. Yeah. And we have multiple bilingual people that work with us, that in the event that they have questions, they can feel free to call the office, and we will put them in touch with somebody that can help translate.
That's super. Another little thing that we've done here recently is come up with Q codes on our forklifts so that they can scan them with their phone and pick up the load charts and everything else. And Craig's been in charge of that project there. And if that's something that you'd like to learn a little bit more about, you're welcome to talk to Craig about it. But I'll wrap it up by saying what a fascinating man you are and what an amazing journey. And the industry owes you a big thank you because you're doing something to make the product better, make it easier to assemble at a time when people are leaving the industry. And I'm sure that everybody thanks you, and I do too. Thanks a lot for a great interview, Dave.
Thanks for having me, Ken.